Welcome to episode 3 of Fleurieu Footy podcast. I'm your host, Steve Costello. In today's program, we'll go through the A-grade reserves, Senior Colts and Junior Colts results. We'll stop and interview one of our guests who's a current umpire at the moment. I'm not going to give you any clues to who that is. And then we'll do the women's results, and we'll also have an interview with a current player and Junior Colt coach. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a little question at the end. We'll pump up some sponsors and give a plug to a local business as well. I hope you enjoy the program. Thanks for watching.
This podcast was recorded on Ramangiri land. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
Here are the results for the men's A-grade round 12, known as the local derby round. The first game we look at is Encounter Bay hosted Victor Harbour. Victor Harbour 13 goals 10.88, defeated Encounter Bay 10 goals 10.70. You can see the best players and the goal kickers there. There's a bit of a query with the goal kickers for Encounter Bay, so we'll sort that out during the week. But it was a pretty good game, pretty tight tussle all day. Victor kept jumping to about a 3-goal lead. Encounter Bay kept pegging it back, and in the end that was the result, 3 goals. Mount Compass hosted Gould Port Elliot, and the final score was Mount Compass 12 goals 13.85 to 3 goals 7.25. Best players and goal kickers are there. Look, Mount Compass just need to keep winning. That's what they need to do. They need a bit of luck along the way as well, but I reckon that they can certainly shape the 5 if they don't make it. So the next game saw the top of the table McLaren Football Club take on Wollonga. The final score there, McLaren 14 goals 11.95 to Wollonga 10 goals 8.68. Best players and goal kickers are there. So McLaren stay undefeated, and Wollonga have lost a couple in a row now, so back to the drawing boards to get back on the winning side. The next game we look at is Yankalilla hosted Maiponga Selix. The final score there, Maiponga Selix 15-14, 104, defeated Yankalilla 10 goals 5.65. Best players and goal kickers are there. Look, Yankalilla, very, very improved effort there. And Maiponga are doing what they need to do to win and stay in touch with the top 3. And the next game was Strathalbyn hosted Langhorne Creek, and the final score saw Strathalbyn 14 goals 7.91, defeat Langhorne Creek 7 goals 11.53. The best players and goal kickers are there for you to see. This was an important clash because Strath and Victor are vying for that 5th spot, and I would think that Langhorne Creek are also vying for it, but this may have just made it a little bit harder for them. They might need a bit of luck, and they need to just keep winning. So if we look at the premiership table for the A grade, we've got McLaren on top undefeated, Maiponga Selix on 18 points, clear. Wollonga on 16 points in 3rd, they're clear. Then we've got a bit of a logjam. Encounter Bay 4th, Strath 5th, Victor Harbour 6th, all on 14 points, separated by percentage. Then you've got Langhorne Creek on 10, so they've now a couple of games behind, and Mount Compass on 8, so they're a few games behind. But as I said before, I wouldn't write them off, but they need a bit of luck. You've got Yankalilla on 2 and Gould Port Elliot yet to win a game, but their improved performance would suggest that they could possibly knock someone off very, very soon. So the leading goal kickers for A grade, you can see there Ben Simmons on 42, Matthew Merritt on 40, Sam Basham on 37, Jake Tarker on 36, James Grimley on 36, Nick Marshall 34, Jackson Helms 32, Hassan Ahmet Watkins from Maiponga, and Tom Pinion from Mount Compass on 28. Then we've got 3 guys on 26, Riley Clamp Strath, Tyson New Encounter Bay, and Ziggy Vitkunis from Mount Compass. These are the results for the reserves for round 12. The first game, Encounter Bay hosted Victor Harbour, and Encounter Bay won in a tight contest, 8 goals 10-58 to 6 goals 7-43. Look at your best players and your goal kickers there. We then had McLaren host Wollonga, and the final score saw Wollonga victorious 6 goals 7-43 to McLaren 4 goals 9-33. Once again, your best players and goal kickers are there for you to have a look at. Mount Compass hosted Gould Port Elliot, and the final score there saw Gould Port Elliot take out the victory 10 goals 12-72 to Mount Compass 8 goals 52. Strathalbyn hosted Langhorne Creek, and the final score there saw Strathalbyn run out winners 10 goals 9-69 to 7 goals 4-46. So 20 odd points there, pretty tight game. There's your best players and your goal kickers to have a look at. And in the last reserves game, Yankalilla hosted my Ponga Selix, and my Ponga Selix ran out pretty convincing winners, 19 goals 9-1-23 to Yankalilla 4 goal 2-26. And once again, your best players and goal kickers are there for you to have a look at. So we'll move on to the reserves grade premiership ladder, and we find Wollonga and Encounter Bay on top with 20 points, followed by my Ponga on 18 points, Langhorne Creek on 16 points, and McLaren on 15 points. There is a bit of a gap there to Strathalbyn on 10 and Victor Harbour on... Strathalbyn on 12 and Victor Harbour on 10. But both of those sides could still make the top 5, and Victor Harbour have a pretty healthy percentage. Then we've got Gould Port Elliot on 7, who aren't out of it, but their percentage is a little bit poor. Yankalilla on 2, and Mount Compass haven't had a win, so let's hope that they do in the upcoming games. So leading goal kickers, you've got Blake Bailey from Encounter Bay on 28, Thomas Grundy from my Ponga Selix on 24, Ben Hutchinson on my Ponga Selix on 23, Graydon Brand on Langhorne Creek on 22, Jacob McDonald Wollonga 16, Braden Anderson McLaren 16, Sebastian Juardo from my Ponga Selix 15, Daniel Macrao my Ponga Selix 14, Dane Moore Wollonga 13, and Isaac Lyons Langhorne Creek 13. Here are the results for the Telstra Senior Colts round 12. So if we look at the first game, we've got Encounter Bay hosted Victor Harbour, and Encounter Bay won quite convincingly, 19 goals 18-132 to Victor Harbour, 1 goal 6 points. You've got your best players and goal kickers there. There was no goal kicker given by Victor Harbour, so I can't put that in. The next game saw McLaren host Wollonga, and Wollonga were the victors there in a tight tussle, 7 goal 10-52 to McLaren 6 goals 11-47. And you can see the best players and the goal kickers there. Mount Compass hosted Gould Port Elliot, and it was a pretty tight tussle there. Mount Compass run out the winners 6 goal 10-46 to Gould Port Elliot 5 goal 6-36. So a 10-point victory. Would have been a bit of nail biting going on the sideline by the coaches and supporters. And you can see your best players and goal kickers. And Strathalbyn hosted Langhorne Creek, and Strathalbyn ran out victors 12 goals 11-83 to Langhorne Creek 4 goals 3-27. Your best players and goal kickers are there for you to look at. And the last game, Yankalilla hosted my Ponga Selix, and my Ponga Selix were convincing winners 16-7-103 to Yankalilla 4 goal 2-26. And once again, you can see your best players and goal kickers down below. So if we move on to the Premiership table, you've got Encounter Bay on top on 22 points, followed by Mauponga Selix in second on 20. Then you've got Wollonga in third on 18 points. Fourth, Agoor Port Elliot on 16 points, along with Strath in fifth on 16 points. Then you've got McLaren in sixth spot on 10 and Yankalilla in seventh on 8. And I reckon that those two could possibly push for top 5, but there's a bit of a gap. I'm about to call that top 5 looks pretty set. And if we look at the leading goal kickers, you've got Dexter Kenny from Mauponga way out on 42, Ryan Corby in Counter Bay on 36, Joshua Gerardo, Mauponga Selix on 30, Dash Hawley, Yankalilla on 25, Jack Gilbert, Strathalbyn 21, Tyler Davidson, McLaren 21, Archie Evans, Gore Port Elliot 20, Connor Hills in Counter Bay 19, Finn Hayden, Gore Port Elliot 18, Adam Tote, Langon Creek 16, and Kai Awaya, Gore Port Elliot 16. Here are the results for the Fleurieu Milk Junior Colts for round 12. First game saw Encounter Bay host Victor Harbour, and Victor Harbour won 8 goals, 8-56 to Encounter Bay 3 points. Have a look at your best players and goal kickers. The next game saw Gould Port Elliot defeat Mount Compass at Mount Compass. Gould Port Elliot 13 goals, 8-86 to Mount Compass 2 goals, 2-14. And your best players are there for you to have a look at. McLaren hosted Wollonga. The final score saw Wollonga defeat McLaren. Wollonga 11 goals, 7-73 to McLaren 5 goals, 5-37. And your best players and goal kickers are there for you to have a look at. Next game saw Strathalbyn host Langon Creek. The final score was Strathalbyn 13 goals, 11-89. And Langon Creek unfortunately didn't score. And your best players and goal kickers for Strath are there, plus best players for Langon Creek. And the last game of the round saw Yankalilla host Mauponga Selix, and the final score was pretty lopsided. Mauponga Selix 28 goals, 12, 180, defeated Yank, no score. So your best players for both sides are there, and your goal kickers are there for Mauponga Selix. So if we look at the Premiership table, we've got Mauponga Selix in first on 22 points, Wollonga second on 21, Encounter Bay a third on 18, Strathalbyn a fourth on 16, Victor Harbour a fifth on 15, Gould Port Elliot a sixth on 14, McLaren a seventh on 8, Langon Creek are 8th on 4th, and Mount Compass are 9th on 2, and Yankalilla are last or 10th on 0, yet to win a game. Let's hope that they can do that. Just looking at the top 5, it's pretty close between 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Encounter Bay's percentage is a little bit low, so they could quite easily get past if they take their foot off the pedal. So winning is extremely important at this time of the year, and that's what those sides need to do. So it'll be pretty exciting to see who gets the 5th spot. Leading goal kickers, Cody Hines from Mauponga Selix on 49, so 1 off 50. It's a pretty good effort. Archer Price is second, Gould Port Elliot 38. Levi D. Stringer, Victor Harbour 32. Brock Grund and McLaren 29. Jake Holford, Mauponga Selix 25. Jack Noble, Mauponga Selix 22. Nathan Sawak, Mauponga Selix 18. Eli White, Victor Harbour 17. Fletcher Ganil, Encounter Bay 17. Riley Wiedenhofer, Encounter Bay 16. Jackson Collins, Wollonga 15. Jack Brown, my Pongaselix 15. That's a wrap for the results of the Fleurieu Milk Junior Colts. I'd like to welcome to Fleurieu Footy Podcast one of the current umpires in the GSFL, Dennis Rice. Welcome along, Dennis.
How you going, Cozzy? Thanks for the invite.
Good, mate. Look, you told me just off air before that you've done some fair few games over the weekend, Friday night, Saturday, and again today. How you feeling?
Yeah, not too bad. Legs are a bit stiff. Done 5 games in total this weekend.
Good on you, mate. From my point of view, I really appreciate what you do for the league. So, without you guys, we don't have a game, basically.
No, you're right. But I played a lot of footy, so it's just like giving back to the game.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's a good attitude, same as mine.
Yeah.
Now, you've been an umpire for a while now. How long have you been umpiring, and what inspired you to become an umpire?
Well, I've been umpiring now for 10 years. I did my first year just as a club umpire because there wasn't many umpires around. So I just put my hand up, thought, yeah, I'll have a go at it. And I actually enjoyed it. So then I joined the umpires panel now for the past 9 years. And, don't see myself stopping anytime soon.
Okay.
Really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, obviously, with what you've done over the weekend, you're right into it. Must get a good pay packet. Yeah,
I don't think... See, some people do think that. You do it for the money, but if you didn't enjoy doing it, I don't think you could do it.
No, I wouldn't be able to do it, mate.
Nah, see, I've got my 2 sons now. They're both bound umpiring the A grade, and my eldest one's now doing field umpiring of the women's game. So they're enjoying their umpiring as well, which is good.
Excellent. Now, how are you coping with the differing rules?
See, that's a funny one because we're not too bad with different rules down here compared to the AFL, but it's very hard to watch the AFL now with that umpire dissent because your first reaction is you put your hands up. Like, it's just reaction, which I don't really agree with. If you get sworn at or, the player has a go at you, yeah, fair enough, you give it a 50. But you've got to be a bit more lenient with that. And also with a lot of them...
that.
Yeah.
Go on.
And with a lot of them, the interpretations, all umpires have different interpretations of it due to a lot of you have played footy and you've got probably the better interpretation than the umpires that haven't played football, which is a bit frustrating for the players, which I understand that because I used to play a lot of footy.
Yeah. Now, I always say, umpires are only human like we are. They're going to make mistakes like we do. What do you think makes players and supporters get so irate with decisions that umpires make?
A lot of the time I see it is when it's inconsistent. If you start to pay a free kick at the start of the game, you've got to pay it for the whole game. Where a lot of umpires, are a bit more inconsistent than others, whether it's they're not confident or they're a bit nervous. Comes down to a lot of things, or if the crowd starts getting involved more, they're a bit more timid.
So they get influenced?
Yeah, influenced, I'd say. Which I think that's a big thing, where some crowds are a bit more volatile than others. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing is to help it is if you communicate well with the players, they communicate back well, you get a more feeling for each other, which I find anyone's got a question, I'm happy to answer it. Like
so you build a bit of a rapport with the players and the coaches, and a bit of an understanding of what's going on. I think, from my point of view, as being a bit of a spectator and supporter, it's that you might be a consistent umpire, but the other guy might not be.
Yeah,
that's the interpretation of each individual, which makes it really difficult. So you might pay a free kick for something at one end of the ground, and then the other guy doesn't pay that free kick, and you're thinking, well, hang on, what's going on here? How do you reckon we can get around that?
That's a tough one, because quite a few players will say to me, like, yeah, that umpire's calling this and that. And I say, well, look, I umpire how I umpire, and I can't change myself. I let the game go more. I'm a person that likes to see the game be played and be minimal free kicks. only pick the obviously ones. Like,
Yep.
if it's a 50-50, if you have to think about it, it's not a free kick.
Just let it go.
If you don't think about it and you blow your whistle, it's a free kick.
Yep. Sure. So more on instinct than anything.
Yeah. Yep. Where I find...
I think that's good for the...
I prefer
good for the game.
Yep. The game's not about the umpires. It's about the people playing the game. We're just there to control it, keep people safe, make a good spectacle for the spectators.
Yeah, that's what we're after, mate. So thanks for your honesty there. The other thing I want to ask you is, do you have a favourite football moment? Because you've played footy and you've umpired footy. Could it be a favourite football moment as a player or a favourite football moment as an umpire?
Well, probably my favourite one would be, this is probably a weird one, was last year I umpired my first Great Southern Footy League A-grade grand final.
Yep.
Yeah, that was one of my favourite, which is, probably strange to most people that have played a lot of footy like I have. Mm-hmm. But, I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I don't think so. Did you play in many grand finals as a player?
Yeah, played in 3 or 4, but didn't win any, unfortunately.
Okay. So you're rating the umpiring grand final above the playing ones, which is, from your point of view, it's pretty good because it was a pretty good game too, I think, last year. Wollonga and Creek, wasn't it?
Yep, it was. The only difference in that game, I think, was Langons Creek kicked 5 or 6 points in the first quarter, where Wollonga kicked 5 goals straight, I reckon.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's always going to hurt you on the scoreboard, isn't it?
Yep.
But could you, as an umpire, can you feel the movement of the game and what's going on?
You can, because I played a lot of footy, you can tell which way the feeling of the game's going, the momentum swings. You can tell by watching the players' reactions and the way they talk to each other, which is quite funny when you see teammates, I should say, abusing each other and yelling at each other. You think, well, that's not how you're going to win a game of footy. Yeah, it's quite funny to watch.
Okay, so you're a football lover. Have you got an AFL team that you support? And if so, who is it?
Yep, I've got a favourite footy team. It's Port Adelaide Power.
Another one. So my last guest, Dale Cuthbert, was a Port Power supporter. So being a Port Power supporter, who's your all-time favourite AFL player?
Mine's Gavin Wanganeen.
Okay, so he went to Essendon. You didn't feel that he came back just to, play and make up the numbers, or?
No. I felt he came back because that's where he belongs. He knew where home was, and he was coming home to finish off his career, and he finished off quite well.
You sound like a Port Power supporter.
Just pity Andrew McLeod didn't come home to the right place.
Mate, look, thanks for that. That's the questions that we've done. Now, what we'll do is we'll go on to our famous quiz questions about the AFL. You've probably got a pretty good general knowledge with the AFL, being an umpire and a football player.
Oh, I hope so.
Okay, so the first question is, what 2 colours of the football do get used in the AFL?
What first 2 colours?
Yeah, what 2 colours of footballs get used
red and
in
yellow.
the AFL? Okay, next question is, in 2003, the Brownlow medal was won by 3 separate people. Nathan Buckley, Mark Rasciuto, and a player from which team? Sydney, Melbourne, West Coast, Brisbane. Can you also name the player?
Was it West Coast? Was it Chris Judd?
Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. I won't answer them straight away. We'll go at the end and we'll answer them all. We'll tally them up. Who wore the number 18 for North Melbourne from 1989 to 2001?
Glenn Archer's mate, Wayne Carey, I believe.
International Rules Series is a hybrid of Australian rules football that Australia contests with which other country?
Ireland.
And question 5 is, who won the 2000, 2001 and 2003 Coleman medal?
Jeez. This one's got me stumped. 2001.
Have a bit of a punt, mate. A goal kicker, kicked 100 goals a few times, especially in that period.
I'm trying to think who was good teams back then. The Brisbane Lions were good. Not Lloydie. Matthew Lloyd.
All right, so that's your final answer?
Yep.
Okay, let's tally them up. So, yeah, the two footies used, the colours are red and yellow. The Brownlow medal was won by three separate people. The footy club was Sydney and the Brownlow medalist was Adam Goods. Wayne Carey wore number 18, of course. You're right. Ireland is correct and Matty Lloyd's correct. So I reckon that you got 4 out of 5, Ricey.
I should have guessed good.
So you have hit the front. 4 out of 5 is the leader of the leaderboard at the moment.
See, that just proves.
So congratulations. Don't be saying too much like that because you've got to umpire again next week.
Yeah, I know. But if you ask me, I'll be honest and I'll tell you when I get my decisions wrong.
That's excellent, mate. Look, I really appreciate you coming on Fleurieu Footy Podcast and wish you all the best for the rest of the season with your umpiring duties and hope that they don't work you too hard.
Cheers, Cozzy. Thanks for the invite, mate. Enjoyed it.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Catch you later.
Here are the results for the FP Ag Women's A Grade Round 12. First game saw Gould Port Elliot take on McLaren. Final score McLaren 3-6-24. Defeated Gould Port Elliot 1-5-11. Check out the best players and the goal kickers. Next game saw Strathalbyn take on Wollonga. Final score Wollonga 7-10-52. Defeated Strathalbyn 2-2-14. Check out the best players and the goal kickers. The next game saw Yankalilla take on Mount Compass. Final score Yankalilla 3-7-25. Defeated Mount Compass 2 goals straight. Check out the best players and the goal kickers. Looking at the FPAG Women's A-Grade leading goal kickers after round 12, we've got in first spot Courtney Gum from Wollonga on 16, Sheena Peters, McLaren 15, Sally Fuller, McLaren 13, Tamara Page, Wollonga 12, Indy Miller, Strathalbyn 12, Stella Renfrey, PC, McLaren 11, Lauren Reynolds, McLaren 10, and then you've got Emily Cooper, Wollonga 9, Shay Archbold, Wollonga 8, Megan Rich, Strathalbyn 8, and Tiana Jokic, Strathalbyn 8. Looking at the Premiership ladder after round 12 for the women's FPAG A-Grade, we've got Wollonga in first position on 19 points, followed by McLaren in second on 14. Third is Gould Port Elliot on 14. Fourth is Strathalbyn on 10. Fifth is Yank on 8. Sixth is Mount Compass on 6. And 7 is Victor Harbour on 1. Here are the results for the GSFL FPAG under 17 girls for round 12. First game saw Gould Port Elliot take on McLaren. Final score McLaren 9-9-63. Defeated Gould Port Elliot 2-2-14. Check out the best players and the goal kickers. Well done to Georgia Ellis who kicked 7. The next game saw Strathalbyn take on Wollonga. Final score Wollonga 16-8-104. Defeated Strathalbyn no score. You can see the best players and the goal kickers there. Just a shout out to Shay Archbold for kicking 6 goals. Well done. In the final game, Victor Harbour took on Yankalilla. Final score Victor Harbour 5-4-34. Defeated Yankalilla 2-2-14. You can see the best players and the goal kickers. Here is the FPA girls under 17 leading goal kickers at round 12. In first place is Emma Charlton Wollonga on 28, followed by Emily Steele Wollonga 20, Mexi Marks Yankalilla 14, Abby Woodward Wollonga 13, Georgia Ellis McLaren 13, Shay Archibald Wollonga 10, Amelia Bilney Yankalilla 9, Raphael Lombardozzi Wollonga 9, Tara Jane Ludlow Yankalilla 8, Lily Harrison Victor 8, and Raya Totti Linshu Victor 8. Looking at the premiership table after round 12, on top we've got Wollonga on 23 points with a massive percentage. Second Strath 15 points, third Yankalilla 12 points, fourth McLaren 11 points, fifth is Victor Harbour on 8 points, sixth Gould Port Elliot on 3 points, and seventh is Mount Compass yet to notch a victory. Yeah, I'd like to welcome to Fleurieu Footy Podcast current senior player and also junior Colt coach at Encounter Bay, Ollie Price. Welcome along, mate.
G'day, Cos. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Look, we'll get straight into it. We'll give you a few questions for you to answer and see what you come up with. The first one, you're obviously coaching. How are you finding coaching, and are you going okay?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying coaching. Absolutely loving it. It's something that I've, sort of been involved in for a while. I was helping out Tommy Pearson's and the Senior Colts for a few years. Just decided this year that I'd pick it up myself and give it a crack. I like to think we're doing a pretty good job. Our boys are sitting, I think we're around third at the moment, third or fourth. Had a pretty good start to the year. Probably lost a few games or haven't really competed in some games that I would have liked us to. But aside from that, I think we're doing fairly well. Yeah.
Okay, well, you're sitting in third spot. It's a pretty good effort for your first year of coaching junior Colts. And it can be inconsistent with their form. So don't wear your heart on your sleeve, which I know you can do at times. There'll be hiccups, mate. Just roll with them. Yeah. So the second question is, how's your playing career going? Because you are a senior footballer at Encounter Bay, and you've played a bit of A grade and you've played a fair bit of reserves. How's it going at the moment?
Personally, it's I'm just sort of trying to stay out on the track at this point. Had a few injuries throughout the year. Started off with an ankle injury and hurt my shoulder in the game against
Creek.
Against Creek. That's right. Yeah, Creek. Look, for me this year, the aim of the game was really just to stay out on the track and get back into some form with my footy personally. Haven't played A grade since the beginning of last year before injury. But look, as I said, it's just a matter of trying to find some form, I think, and playing my best footy regardless of what grade I'm playing in. And our B grade's doing pretty well at the moment. So I'm pretty happy with how we're going.
Good. So, from my point of view for you, it's probably stringing some consistency together. 4 quarters of footy, probably, you need 3 or 4, 5 games under your belt to get back to some full match fitness. Yeah. That'll come, mate. Just stay sound.
Yeah, that's it. Just got to stay healthy and out there, and I'll hopefully be able to get that together.
That's right. So you've played a fair bit of footy from juniors to seniors. Who's been the biggest influence on your career?
That's a pretty tough one, really. I've been pretty lucky to have a lot of people that, especially sort of once I turned about 14 or 15 and started to string some decent games together. Early on, definitely my dad, with regarding to, obviously most fathers are, male figures in lives to do with guys and with girls playing footy as well, getting out there and giving it a crack. But I remember in my first year of Senior Colts, my dad told me to go and train with the A grade, do a pre-season with the A grade. And it took me from basically just being another running number in the Junior Colts to taken my game up. Probably Mitch Portlock from Wollonga. He was my country coach for South Under-15s. I went from playing half a game in the association game in the back pocket to starting in the guts in the 15s association team. So it was pretty well the first time a footy coach, once I was playing decent footy, had, backed me into, a really influential position kind of thing, and said, I back you in to really go. And that was sort of the start for me to start playing some decent footy through my junior career. So, yeah, I'd probably say those two.
Yeah, it's really important to try and get a platform of a super pre-season under your belt, not only for your fitness, but, also for your confidence. So I think if you can get that going, it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it took sort of a year for me to really understand how important a pre-season is, and it hasn't really been until probably these last few years that I've really deeply understood that. For me personally, anyway, to play some really consistent footy, I need to be out on the track, late December, early January, and really putting in hard work early to get fit and ready to go, because footy's a whole lot easier when you're fit. So, it's,
and young.
Coming around one, coming in around one in good nick is usually pretty important. Which I've struggled with in the past couple of years, just always getting injured towards the end of pre-season. It's happened 2 years in a row now. So, hopefully new things on the cards next year.
Okay. Well, you still got this year, and
Yeah.
don't write that off. Just, take your time and get it right.
Yeah.
Now, let us know, what's your favourite football moment?
Oh, my favourite footy moment by a country mile was winning the 2018 flag in the Senior Colts. Made the move over from Goa. Just thought, it's time for me to take things elsewhere, and had a few mates that were coming over and were already over there at the time, and we were seeing each other every weekend basically. So it was pretty hard for me to say no when we sort of came up with the idea, let's all link up and at least play our last season of senior footy all together as a big group. It was something that whole season is something that I'll really look back on fondly throughout, the rest of my life. Really, it'll be something that I'll definitely be telling my kids about, and that's by far my favourite footy moment. I'd say winning that whole season in general. Winning the flag, obviously, definitely a very lovely cherry on top.
Okay, so who do you support in the AFL, mate?
For the people that know me, and most people that don't anyway, know that I'm a pretty diehard Richmond supporter.
Yeah, they've had some success over the last 6 to 7 years.
Yeah, it's been good watching, considering they probably weren't good watching for about 20 years prior to that. So, I got brought up in a household that, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever the Tigers are on, probably wasn't going to be a real good turnout for the game. But, as the previous years have shown, past 5 years or so, we've been pretty competitive. So, certainly enjoying watching them now.
This next question might be a bit of a dead-end one now, but who's your all-time favourite player in the AFL?
My favourite Richmond player is definitely Dustin Martin. Just watching him play footy is just unreal. I think he's, unreal. Kane Lambert, I look up to, sort of similar style. He's pretty short, not really athletic, but he's really smart and uses the footy really well. Even though I'm not the best user of the footy, I still try and model a lot of my game around sort of how he plays, and playing a pretty significant role without having to, need the footy all the time, still just making the most of what you've got and making it count. But when I was younger, this is a bit one out of the blue, but I used to look up to Alan Didak a bit from Collingwood. Used to love watching Alan Didak play, and that was sort of the start of me wanting to be a small forward, coming through a junior footballer like under 8s, under 9s at Hahndorf. So he's a bit one out of the blue, but yeah.
Okay. Look, thanks for answering those questions. And what we'll do now is we'll go on and do a bit of a quiz if you don't mind.
Absolutely, mate.
There's just 5 hard-hitting AFL questions. A couple of them you should know, really. If you don't, I'll be disappointed.
Yep, no.
All right, you ready to go? No
Yeah.
Google, no phone, no brother in the background.
No, nothing there.
Okay, let's go. Which club was formerly called South Melbourne?
Swans.
Okay, in which stadium is the grand final traditionally held every year?
MCG.
Who was named captain of the North Melbourne team of the century?
Oh, goodness me. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go with Glenn Archer.
Who was the first South Australian named as legend in the AFL Hall of Fame?
Named as legend. I'm going to go with Adam Goods.
Who kicked the winning point in St Kilda's only premiership in the 20th century?
Oh.
Got you on that one?
Yeah, I wouldn't have the slightest clue, cos.
All right, look, we'll go through and see how you've gone.
Yeah.
Which club was formerly called South Melbourne?
Yep.
The Swans or Sydney?
Okay.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah. Yep.
MCG was pretty obvious.
Yep.
Yeah. Number 3, the North Melbourne team of the century is Wayne Carey, Glenn Archer's best mate.
Best mate.
Who's the first South Australian name as a legend in the AFL Hall of Fame?
You said South Australian.
Yeah. Who's the first South Australian named as a legend in the AFL Hall of Fame?
Yep.
And that's Barry Robran.
Yeah. See, I never would have gotten that, but it was definitely not Goodsy.
And the last one's Barry Breen.
Yeah. No. Wouldn't have.
Well, that was a tough one, but I sort of started them easy and got tougher as we went along.
Yeah.
So I reckon you've got 2 out of the 5.
Yeah.
So you've tied with Max Barnes.
Oh, all right.
So you're not behind and you're not ahead.
Yeah.
You're in the mix.
I'm in the mix.
So who knows? You might have a final of the Quizmaster at some stage towards the end of the season, mate.
No, you'd probably want to hope someone were to get better than a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, this is just a personal question for you, Ollie, regarding you coaching the Junior Colts for Encounter Bay and your brother actually playing Junior Colts and second in the goal kicking for Gould Port Elliot. What's it like in the Price household when those games are coming up?
Yeah, well, yeah. Regardless of whether my brother and I are playing and coaching against each other, it's still pretty tense around home. I guess there's always a bit of the standard rivalry between Encounter Bay and Gore, I guess, and being in the same house, and with Dad being so involved with the Gore Footy Club still now, there's always going to be a bit of a rivalry in the house. So yeah, it's good. Archer's had a pretty good year this year, so yeah, it'll be good to coach against him because we haven't been able to so far. I was in Queensland. Well, both of us were the first time, so.
The whole family escaped up there.
We did. We went up there for a couple of weeks, and I missed the Wollonga and Gore game. So, unfortunately, I didn't get to see the new Gore club rooms, which I've heard, and change rooms, which I've heard are extremely, extremely good. So, have to wait for that till next year, I think. But yeah, it'll be good to have a game on our oval. I think it should go pretty well. I reckon it'll be a good game.
Okay. Well, look. Congratulations so far on your season with coaching the Junior Colts, and I hope you get over your injury and get back in selection for the reserves for Encounter Bay. I'm sure we'll catch up soon, and I really appreciate you coming on Fleurieu Footy Podcast, mate.
No worries, Cos. Thanks for having me, mate.
Look forward to seeing you. See you. Stay safe. It's time for our weekly plug of business. The first one we're going to do is Coastal Meats at Victor Harbour with Steve and Danica Rossa. It's located in the central entrance of the Victor Harbour Shopping Centre, and he is your local butcher shop sourcing quality local meats and produce. Have a look at their Facebook page, Coastal meets Victor Harbour, and have a look at a few of the photos and messages. Support him. Question of the week. Should the AFL introduce the last touched out of bounds rule like the SANFL and GSFL? Answer on our Facebook page, Fleurieu Footy Podcast, or send us an email, fleurieuFootyPodcast@gmail.com. Put your answers in. Cheers.
Don't stop. Watch out now.